An 8-game slate around Major League Baseball on this Monday, following another weekend in the Bigs DRS that saw a lot. Best team in the American League right now, the Detroit Tigers. Best team in the National League, the New York Mets. Best team in the National League West, the San Francisco Giants. The Padres swept at home in lovely San Diego by the Tampa Bay Rays over a 3-game set this week in Southern California. A lot to get you caught up on around the Bigs, a lot to look at entering a new week on this Monday. Let's start in a divisional duel in Baltimore between the Yankees and the Orioles. The Yankees making a change, by the way, in the back end of their bullpen. Devin Williams, who has been the closer now in his opening year in the Bronx, kind of demoted from that role. It's been a little bit tumultuous. You know, it's been incredibly tumultuous. The Baltimore Orioles season DRS, 10-17 in the cellar. Worst record in the AL West, second worst record in the American League, only better than the Chicago White Sox. A game today against the Yankees where New York with Will Warren on the bump, an ever so slight favorite. What are we expecting today on this Monday inside Camden Yards?
They probably should be the slight favorite, even though you take a look at Will Warren, who I don't love as a pitcher, and you say, well, hey, Sugano should be able to, flare things up. Actually, Sugano was the worst pitcher on the card today through 16 pitchers with his xFIP number at 4.79, which is not over 5, which you love, and that's a great fade point. But if we're just looking at the way he gets down for his business, 28 innings pitched, Ben, a 3.54 ERA, which is good, but then you take a look at the expected ERA, almost double that at 6.11. His FIP number, 5.84, but a slightly lower xFIP of 4.79. You take a look at the lineup today for the New York Yankees, who, again, top 3 batters in the lineup that we anticipate. Grisham, Judge, and Rice, lefty, righty, lefty, going up against Sugano, and against right-handed pitching, a 481 ISO, a 208, and a 327. Maybe that's where the damage comes from. But if we are looking for the Baltimore batters, they've had some success this year against right-handed pitchers. Will Warren last year struggled with both lefty and righty batters. This year, having a little bit better year. If you take a look at his xFIP number, it's 3.69, much lower than his ERA at 4.79. So getting a little bit unlucky with the ERA. Maybe they bounce back tonight. The lineup looks better for Baltimore, but I do think you still have the pitching advantage with the Yankees and the better overall team. I'll take the Yankees at a slight favorite price here at Camden Yards. By the way, 70-degree temperatures, wind blowing out to left. We do like to see that.
Yeah. The O's were blanked yesterday by Detroit 7-zip. Baltimore swept this weekend, I am pretty sure, in Detroit. The Orioles are struggling, 10-17 DRS, as we have alluded to. 5-6 at home. Of course, those East Coast teams, or at least along the Eastern Seaboard, playing most of their opening games away from their home ballpark. 16 games for Baltimore on the road, 11 at home. The Yankees rained out in the Bronx on Saturday, played a doubleheader yesterday against the Blue Jays. They won both to win the weekend. We mentioned the Tigers. Detroit, best record right now in the AL, 18-10. The Tigers on the road to start off this week against the Astros today. In DRS, the Astros avoided a sweep yesterday against the Kansas City Royals. The Royals still a game below 500, but getting a couple of big wins against the Stros this weekend. Houston, an ever so slight favorite on the money line. Ronel Blanco gets the start, -110 now for the Stros. We have seen a slight line flip. Jack Flaherty the start for Detroit, -106. Total 8 today in H-Town. What do you like?
Yeah, Flaherty's been fantastic this season. Again, yet Skubal yesterday was absolutely pitching a gem. And outside those first 2 starts of the season for him, he's been just like his Cy Young self. You take a look at Flaherty, 27 1/3 innings pitched this year. How about an ERA, Ben? 2.63 and an xFIP 3.09. Should be able to factor in. Now, Ronel Blanco last year was a very good pitcher. This year is struggling with lefties. And by the way, if you take a look at his numbers, through 23 1/3 innings pitched this year, a 5 ERA and a 4.73 xFIP number. So the better pitcher resides for the Tigers today at that price. If you're looking for some batter props to start, Kerry Carpenter, 64 at bats as a left-handed batter against right-handed pitching this year, a 200 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 369. And then Riley Green, another lefty, having some good results here. And then Spencer Torkelson having a great season with a 269 ISO against right-handed pitching. For me, again, I take a look at the road team here, whether it's a slight favorite or not. Let's call it a pick 'em. I like Detroit. Better pitcher on the mound and a team that should be able to handle their business.
And the Tigers, the hottest team right now in the American League. They have won 4 straight, 8 of their last 10. Again, Detroit, the best record in the AL right now at 18-10. Let's not forget, DRS, they were swept in their opening series of this MLB season by the LA Dodgers, 18-7 in their last 25. Houston, a game above 500 at 14-13, avoiding the sweep yesterday in Kauffman against the Kansas City Royals. There is no team worse right now in MLB than the Colorado Rockies. 4-23. They are 2.5 games worse, DRS, than even the Chicago White Sox, who are 7-21. The Rocks are 4-23. They're at home today against the Braves, who have won 7 of their last 9 and nearly swept the Diamondbacks this weekend. Arizona did rally to avoid the sweep yesterday in the 3rd game of that weekend set. But Atlanta, minus 176 favorite today inside Coors Field. It's a Coors Field total in double digits at 10.5. What's the play between the Braves and the Rockies?
Yeah, yesterday for the Colorado Rockies, we had 80-degree temperatures and a double-digit wind blowing out to center field. Cooler temperatures in the Rockies today, 60 degrees or so with the wind blowing in from center field at about 8 to 10 miles per hour. So we'll see if that catches up to that 10.5 because you can still score a lot of runs even if the weather conditions aren't all that great in Colorado. You take a look at Bryce Elder on the season. Hasn't been that great. 21 innings pitched here, a 5.57 ERA and a 4.51 xFIP number. You take a look at the lineup, though, very underwhelming for the Colorado Rockies. Now, we take a look at the Atlanta Braves. They've woken up at the plate. You take a look at Alex Verdugo in the leadoff spot. Doesn't really factor in that much against right-handed pitching, but after that, plus numbers on Riley, Ozuna, Olsen, Murphy, Albies, and Eli White going up against Feltner. And if you take a look at Feltner's season, 25 2/3 innings pitched, a decent ERA of 3.86, a slightly higher xFIP of 4.28. Those numbers do make sense. And also keep in mind, Feltner's got hammered a bit by left-handed bats in this lineup. And if you're looking for one right in the middle of that lineup, it's probably going to be Matt Olson for a legitimate RBI chance there out in Colorado. But it's hard at any price to back the Rockies home or away.
The Rockies swept by my Cincinnati Reds this weekend. The Reds winning all 3. Cincy playing a lot better. 15-13. Colorado is atrocious. Again, the Braves have won 7 of their last 9, but still 12-15.
Major League Baseball on the card tonight. You take a look at the Twins heading over to take on the Guardians. Any action in this game for you tonight, Tom?
Yeah, let's keep it really simple, and that's the Guardians' money line. Coming off a couple losses, I think they're a good team. I think they're going to spot to bounce back. I'm not afraid of the Twins. I'm not afraid of Bailey Ober. He comes in with a 5.04 ERA, and Donnie, as we know, we always like to use that in comparison to the xFIP. His xFIP is at 4.18, and 4.18 is like a pretty average number, like average to bad. We have beautiful weather out in Cleveland today, a little bit of wind. He has a 46% fly ball rate. He's allowing 1.80 home runs per 9. When we're getting a good team with the Guardians at minus 120 or minus 122, I think that's great. We do have to note, as we touched on the show yesterday, Clase, not the closer anymore. So there is a difference between taking the Guardians as they were and expecting, Clase is going to come in, shut everyone down, no one's going to touch the ball. That role has changed, so their bullpen is factually weaker, but I still like the Guardians to get the offense going against Bailey Ober. 20% strikeout rate, I'm not afraid of him.